Hi, everybody. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Good to see you all. We got some guests coming. I'm just kind of waiting for them to show up a little bit here. We'll give them an opportunity. Well, Rick is here. And Ed is, oh, we have special guest. Edward Espinoza is here. Now, Ed is, good morning, Dolores. Ed is not a scheduled guest, but he's a special guest for us. The man is running for county chair, and we haven't done much with that particular, oh, people are just coming in here right and left now. Anyway, maybe we'll give him a couple of moments to introduce himself. Now, the thing about the county chair, it is an election, but only precinct chairs can actually vote. So those of you that are precinct chairs, please pay attention. Those of you who are not, just pay attention anyway, so you have an idea of what's going to happen in the future. Okay, we do have another candidate. I believe her name is Katie. Pat, help me out. What's her last name? Katie
Naranjo.
Okay. Anyway, Katie isn't here, but maybe we'll have another opportunity to speak with her later. But right now, Ed, why don't you go ahead and talk a few minutes while I get everybody else in here, okay?
It's Naranja.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No,
I got myself
Naranjo.
unmuted. So, sorry.
Naranjo.
Oh, Aranjo, Pat.
Naranjo. Sorry, guys.
Get with the program here. Okay, Ed, go ahead and talk for a while I keep bringing people in.
All right. Thanks, Sandra. I appreciate it. As she mentioned, my name is Ed Espinoza. I'm a candidate for chair of the Travis County Democratic Party. I am actually at my office this morning. If you're seeing the background here, it's the first time I've been here in 4 months. What that means is the air conditioner hasn't been on in 4 months. So if I start to break a sweat, please bear with me. It's about 88 degrees in here. But this way I could at least, my partner is at home and she needs a break from the politics this morning. So the civilized thing I could do was come to the office. She sits on city council, so she gets this stuff all day long. I needed her to have a morning with the coffee and the cat by herself. My name is Ed Espinoza, and like I said, I'm a candidate for county chair. I currently run an organization called Progress Texas. Again, the office. That's a message and media organization here in, based in Austin, but we're statewide. And if you've watched KView or Fox 7 over the past 7 years, you might have seen my segments. I go head to head with Matt Makoviak on both stations. I've done it for about 7 years. And it's part of what I've done. If you've received a phone call from me, which by now most of you should have, I'm the guy calling you with a 202 area code phone number. I used to live in Washington, D.C. when I worked at the Democratic National Committee. This was during Obama's first 2 years. And that's how I found Texas. I'm originally from Long Beach, California. My family immigrated to the States from Peru. My brothers and I were the first ones born here. And I found a career in politics. I worked on 50 candidate campaigns, about 100 campaigns altogether. And eventually found my way to Texas after spending some time in D.C. So my 3 points are running up the score in Travis County. Stronger Travis County means a stronger Texas. Number 2, diversifying the party. We have to look like the people we're fighting for. It's a very personal issue for me. I know it's personal for you too, but not just in terms of turning out our electorate, but also building what the party looks like. And then my 3rd is we got to fund it. It takes about $1 million a year to fund Progress Texas. I'm happy to bring that skill set to the party and help us get to where we need to be. So I'll keep it short and sweet. I know that the best political speech is a short one. So I will thank you all for your time. And by the way, I see some candidates on the line. I want to congratulate you all for winning your runoffs, Rick and Dimple. And if there's anybody else I've missed that I haven't seen in the window here, but this extended runoff, I can only imagine how turning a 10K into a marathon might have felt through all this, then adding a pandemic on top of it. So thank you all for running. Thank you all for keeping your head on straight during this. Dimple, I think you're fine. Rick, I know you got some more race left in front of you, and good luck to everybody. And thanks again for being standard bearers for us. I'll end it at that. Thank you very much, Sandra. And I'll stick around as long as I can until the air conditioner the lack of an air conditioner doesn't get the best of me. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, before you think that you're done, I got some precinct chairs here, and I'm going to give them an opportunity to maybe ask you questions if they choose to.
Oh, that's fine.
And-
Yeah, and also I can also let you all know how to catch up with me. I'll put my number in the chat as well
Okay.
as a link to some of my materials.
That's a good idea. Good
Right.
idea. There is, and this I don't think has been announced, but there will be a county chair forum coming up. I believe it's scheduled for the 27th of this month,
That's right.
which is like a couple of days, a week and a half from now. I don't know that it's been announced to all of our chairs. It's kind of being done by our advisory committee with the grace of, the TCDP workers, but it will be coming up, so you will have an opportunity to see both of them at the same time. So anybody got any questions for Ed right now? Don't hesitate. You only got a few minutes here.
Already had my conversation with Ed.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you for that.
All right, well, we'll move on then, and I'm going to ask if Dimple wants to say something real quick. And congratulations, Dimple.
Thank you so much, Sandra, and thank you all. I'm so happy to be here this morning. I'm sitting outside of my parents' house. I haven't seen them in months, and so we came to Dallas to visit them and be with family. And thank you, Ed, for your kind words. It has been exhausting the last several months, but I couldn't be more pleased and really could not have done this without your support. So thank you all for your endorsement, for your continued support throughout all of this. We were very happy on election night, and I'm really just honored to be able to serve Travis County again in this role for another 4 years. And so thank you, and I will not forget everything you've done for me. I will be coming to these meetings, and I want to definitely see all of you on a regular basis. So I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dimple, and we will hold you to that, believe me.
Yes, please do.
Okay, I am going to introduce Rick in a moment and give him a chance to speak about his experience going through this and what he plans to do moving forward. But before I do that, I want to show you something. Can you see this? Does that show up? Okay. That is something that we are going to give to Rick as soon as we're done here. And I'm going to ask you that if you can spare an extra $5 to send to Rick to help support his campaign. The campaigns we got, Mike and Julie and Rick, are probably more critical than anything right now. Of course, we want to keep Lloyd Doggett, and so we'll be working for him too, and he'll be here later. But we do need to make sure that our candidates get elected. Otherwise, this country is not going to be livable. It's going to hell in a handbag right now, and we got to put a stop to it. So, Rick, it's your stage.
Thank you, Sandra. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for the support that you've given me over the last 3 years now. Ed, it has definitely been a marathon over the last 3 years. And I like what you said about running up the score in Travis County, because we're really going to need it in my race. Thanks to everybody for helping me win through. I am both proud and humbled to be the nominee for this seat again. We lost in 2018, but the situation is completely different now. So Bill Flores has retired, or will retire, at the end of his term. The pandemic, of course, has demonstrated the enormous human and economic costs of having an incompetent and ill-prepared federal government. And Pete Sessions has won through as the Republican nominee. Pete is also known as Congressman 1 on the Parnas and Fruman indictment, so he's infamous in several different ways. If you're not familiar with Pete and his politics, he served 11 terms in Congress. He lost in 2018 to Colin Allred up in the Dallas area, and he's trying to sneak back in by coming in through the 17th. His last term in Congress, GovTrack actually rated him literally the most conservative member of Congress. So Sessions makes Bill Flores look like Bernie Sanders, right? And speaking of Flores, he called Sessions a carpetbagger, and he endorsed his Sessions opponent, Renee Swan. This is the most gerrymandered district of all the Travis County districts, but all of this has given us a unique opportunity to actually pull this thing off so I can get in there and fight for a living wage for all those folks who are at the low end of the economic spectrum, who we suddenly found essential to both our economy and our livelihoods, to get access to healthcare for every Texan, and every other issue that we're concerned about. Of course, it's a challenge. Sessions is an established politician. He's a professional politician, if you will, a career politician. Believe it or not, I'm actually outraising him 3-to-1 in small dollar donations, but he has got massive support from big donors and PACs. And if he wins, he's just going to go right back to work for them and not for us. So we'll never outraise him. We'll never outspend him. It's not a matter of outspending him. It's a matter of just having enough to get our message out, our competing message out. We actually have some polling data that indicates that a viable Democrat running against Pete Sessions is within the margin of error here. So, like I said, this is a unique opportunity in a very difficult district for a Democrat. We got to jump on it. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive than Sandra was. This is where I need your help. My average donation of my campaign is just under $50. If 20 NETCoDems could come up with $50 a piece, that's $1,000. That buys a lot of door hangers and a lot of digital ads. And that's how we're going to get our message out in this time of pandemic where we can't be in a room with a lot of people. We can't knock on doors. We've got to leverage every communication channel that we've got and reach people where they are, which is in front of their screens and on their phones. So please head on over to rickkennedyforcongress.com or go straight to Act Blue and search on Rick Kennedy. And if you can't do 50, please do 5. And I appreciate your support again. Thank you all for your time. I'll hang on as long as I can. I'd love to hear if there's Jeff Trevelyan. I'd love to hear what Jeff Trevelyan has to say and what Lloyd Doggett has to say. So like I said, I'll hang as long as I can. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, hang around because somebody might want to ask a question later. We'll see how things go.
Right.
I do want to encourage everybody in this group to support all of those 3 candidates, Julie, Mike, and Rick, because even if you can't vote for them, they still affect you. Okay? So just be sure that you do, as much as you can. I know right now money is tight for everybody. God knows, probably half of our membership is unemployed now. And that makes it a big problem. But that doesn't mean you can't pick up a phone and make a call for Rick or write up a postcard or just anything like that helps. That helps. So just remember that and check with him and see what he needs and what you can do to help him, okay? I'd sure appreciate that. Is Sue, are you here?
Sandra, can I say something to Rick real quick?
Sure, Pat, go
I
ahead.
put it in the comments, Rick, but I used to live in Pete Sessions' district in Dallas. And my friends, I have a cadre of friends that literally work day and night calling Allred. I'm sure they've got all kinds of good intel, and I will get on the phone with them here in the next week so that I can see what I can, if there's anything that's useful to you against, because he is just as corrupt as they come.
Is as bad as
So, but they work night and day as a little group of my Jewish ladies. They just gave it everything they had. So I'm off now.
We need every bit of, there's a lot of intel out there on him in the public domain anyways, but we need every little piece that we can. So thank you.
Okay, I have we have a couple of special guests. Jeffrey, you're certainly one of them, but I'm going to preempt you because Lloyd Doggett is now available, and I would like to give Lloyd a few minutes to talk to us, and then because I know he has to move on. So if you'll forgive me, Jeffrey. And Lloyd, where are you? I can't see you. Aaron?
Hey, Sandra, I'm here. I think he is going to jump on in a minute. So if you just want to watch that. Thanks so much.
Okay, all right. I'll be watching for that. So in the meantime, let's talk with Sue Roberts because Sue has something to talk to us about. And since Lloyd is coming on, I'm going to show you this picture. Let me see if you can see this. Can you see this? I can't see myself, so it's a picture of Lloyd wearing
a little bit.
up.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay, that's our congressman wearing one of our masks. Now, NETCoDems is going to be marketing these masks to earn money for our candidates. And Sue, if you're around here somewhere, please hop on and tell us all about it, how you started it, why, and what we want to do with it.
Well, I'm here, and I'm not quite sure how to get on. Can you hear me?
Okay, down at the, yeah, we can hear you okay. Down at
Okay.
the bottom of your screen,
Uh-huh.
you should have a little video or camera type thing that has an X through it or a line.
Oh,
Well,
she's on.
she's on camera. I see her.
Yeah, I on camera.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you are. Now I see you.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
All right.
You go over to a couple screens here.
Okay. So is that okay with you, with everyone?
Yeah, if you click on speaker view, then that person will pop up in a big screen. See up at
Okay.
the top, it has little boxes with everybody, which I try to watch so I can see reactions. But you can click on speaker view and then everybody sees you in big picture.
Mm,
Okay?
well, I don't really have that. Hold on.
We have it.
Way up the top on the right-hand side. But it doesn't matter, sweetheart. Just go ahead and tell us about the mask. That's
Okay.
the important thing.
All right. That sounds good. I'm sorry, I'm new to this, but this is the mask that the Congressman Lloyd Dockett wear to the Capitol, and I'm gonna take this out for a minute so I can speak.
Good idea.
A few friends of ours and also the congressman agreed to support this promotion. We want everyone to wear this mask to remind everybody to go out and vote. I think it's very important this year that we all put our effort together and vote. And what we would like to do is to ask you to purchase or support Sandra. She's gonna have this in her shop and wear this in the public so other people will see it and they will follow. And I think I saw Mary wear one. Mary, thank you very much. All right. And so what we did is we believe that wearing masks will save life. And Congressman believes the same thing. So we are planning to send this mask to the Joe Biden, the presidential candidate, and the former president Obama, and also the House, Nancy Pelosi, with this particular mask for them to wear around to show to the public that wearing masks save life. Also, please go out and vote. And I believe that they are supporting the vote by mail as well. So I think doing this all together will promote the vote to everybody. And we can win the Texas, we can flip it over to the Democrat, we can kick out the bad guy and get the good guy into our country. And we need your help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue. The masks are going to be saleable at $20. That covers the cost of making the mask. And by the way, they're handmade. And that will cost or cover the cost of postage to send it to you and leave a couple of extra dollars over for us to contribute to our candidates. Now, Congressman Doggett is here, and I consider this now his introduction. So if you please, Congressman, tell us what's going on the Hill. Where are you? I saw you.
Oh, it says over here. He's sideways though.
And he's muted.
And muted.
Okay, let me see if I can find him. I'll unmute him.
Yeah, they're sideways. I see Libby too.
Mute.
How about
Okay.
now?
Mask though.
There we go. There you go.
I've got a good mask thanks to Sue. And
No, wait,
thanks to
you may
Ellen.
still be sideways.
Yeah. Am I still sideways?
Yes.
Well, we'll get turned around. Everything is upside down in Washington as long as we have Trump here. Let's see. We're going to try one other way here. I have an ace camera person here with Libby. Is that any better?
Well, you're disappeared, but
Yeah. How'd you? I see you.
Your video's muted.
All right. We're working on it.
It's okay. Sam, where's Sam?
don't you just love technology? It's great when it works.
Well, we can hear him.
Yeah, I remember radio. We can move on if you need to.
Okay, that's,
Whatever works for you, Representative Doggett. That's what it counts.
I'm gonna try getting Lloyd in again. I'm gonna try to leave and come back in.
Okay.
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 Maybe.
So while we're waiting, can I add something to the mask? The mask also have the wire that you can pinch down and protecting, you know, the fog onto your eyeglasses. It's very helpful and very professional. It's made by the local people in Austin and in Pflugerville area. So
That is an important consideration. I think we're back online now with the congressman.
Sideways, upside down. Or...
Yeah, go ahead. You're still sideways, but that's okay. We understand you're under a great deal of stress in Washington. So
We're going to try one last thing. How about like that?
Yes, yes.
perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I think it looks like I'm really high. Can't you lower it a little bit? Hey? All right. I've got my first working. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I know you've been getting updates this morning, most recently from Rick Kennedy, who I hope will be serving and helping in Washington soon. I guess I want to take just a moment before starting to honor someone I shared the dais with at the Ways and Means Committee for the last number of years, and really, truly one of the remarkable parts of serving in Congress has been the opportunity to get to know and work with John Lewis. As you know, John passed last night, a freedom rider, a freedom fighter, someone who had such conviction and courage to go through all that he did. As I would be sitting next to John there, now that he was balding, you could still see the marks on the back of his head from where he was beat up on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And yet John was not a vengeful person. He was a person of great humility. And he just inspired and continues to inspire all of us. And so I think now, given all that has happened this year, it's important to renew this struggle in his honor. Our flags are at half staff here on the Capitol, but as of the time that I began trying to connect with you, Donald Trump had yet to acknowledge the loss of a great civil rights leader. Of course, not to focus overly much on death this morning, but knowing that some 300,000 plus Texans are now infected, that the most notable federal aid that we are receiving right now is the mobile morgue, which is already in use in San Antonio, these refrigerated trucks, because they can't keep up with the loss of life as our hospitals are almost overwhelmed. We know that this did not have to happen, that but for the denial, delay, ongoing deception, and true incompetence of the Trump administration, and then his acolyte, Governor Abbott, interfering and denying our local officials the opportunity to protect and follow good medical science, that we're in a crisis situation. And it is against that crisis now that in order to get livelihoods going, our small businesses, and to get people back to work, we have to get grips on a healthcare crisis that should never have occurred. We are taking up on Monday the National Defense Authorization Act, and we will begin consideration of the Appropriations Act. But we have had pending now for about 2 months, in fact, a little over 2 months in the Senate, the HEROES Act, which would extend unemployment compensation, provide additional pay for essential workers, provide another emergency relief check, and do so much more in the health area, all waiting because Mitch McConnell will not even begin negotiations or begin debate of our House-passed bill. We hope that in these next 2 weeks, we will be able to pass another relief bill to provide support. Of course, all we've been hearing of late is Donald Trump's insistence that everyone go back to school and go back to work. I know from my children's families with their young children of their own that there's an eagerness to go back to school. And there's an eagerness to go back to work and resume our normal relations. Had Donald Trump and Greg Abbott done their job, we would probably be able to move forward and do that soon. But they have not. And at the height of a pandemic, when there are no additional support or national guidelines on testing, on providing necessary personal protective equipment or PPE, when test results get delayed for so many days that they have little value, that in those conditions, simply forcing people back to school or work is only going to worsen our crisis. So I hope we can move forward with legislation soon that will provide some relief, and that together with our individual action and with our continued demands for accountability, we can cope with a crisis that should never have affected our families in the first place. I do want to talk for just a moment more about the importance of engagement by Northeast Democrats in a vote by mail effort. It is really apparent at a time when we may face in the fall a flu season as well as another resurgence on top of this of COVID-19, that we protect the right of every individual to vote. We know that Dana had a little problem with some boxes and even getting election workers there, that in some other communities in the past, election spots have been shut down. The surest way to have a vote count is by voting by mail. Everyone 65 and older is entitled to do that. Some people, many people, I believe thousands of people are entitled to vote based on disability. Ken Paxton has tried to intimidate us, but the Supreme Court has said that while a lack of immunity alone is not enough, that there are other considerations that the voter must use. I believe that anyone who is pregnant, anyone who has diabetes, anyone who is immune disease, a wide range of individuals, including all of the various what are called comorbidities that the Centers for Disease Control has listed, have a basis for claiming disability under Texas law as it exists today. But we won't get that to happen unless there is a sustained calling effort, both to seniors first, who have not claimed an application to vote by mail, and by those individuals who qualify for disability under age 65. We really need a determined and comprehensive effort, not just social media, though that's important, but to get call volunteers out there who will call neighbors, who will take a precinct, who will take an area of our city. I've sent vote by mail applications to everyone, Republican and Democrat, in CD 35 in Travis County. But we need a much more comprehensive effort, first to get people to return their vote by mail application, and then to be ready to call them in October when your ballot arrives just before early voting begins, to be sure that that ballot is marked in the privacy of home and returned so that it is counted. I believe there's nothing more important right now to ensuring that we have a success for our country and for our county and state this next fall than to have more people voting by mail. But I need the Northeast Democrats actively engaged in an organized calling campaign and follow-up campaign to get people to vote by mail. This is not going to be enough to say we've called a few dozen, that we've called a few hundred. It has to be a comprehensive campaign to try to reach everyone in the Northeast area to ensure that their vote is not lost and that they are heard on the most important election of our times. So with that, Sandra, thank you for the opportunity to visit. I'm glad to respond to any questions. I talked only yesterday with Mike Siegel. I'm very encouraged at his success and the campaign that he's outlined to me. I'll be doing a birthday fundraiser with Julie Oliver soon. We have progress in Williamson County and the chance to help there. All over, Texas is really a battleground state now, and that's why this vote by mail is so important, so that last minute shenanigans by Paxton, Abbott, or Trump do not deny us the opportunity to have the more progressive future that these excellent candidates can provide us. Sandra, any questions or observations?
Well, I'm going to open it up to the rest of them for questions. I do want to say I have been avoiding the news because I'm sick and tired of hearing about another tragedy or travesty, I should say, that
Yes.
Donald Trump has committed. So I was unaware about John Lewis, and that actually makes me sick to my stomach. That man was such a giant in the civil rights and has been one of my heroes all these years. He and I are about the same age. He was in Alabama, I was in Des Moines, crossing my fingers for them. So I'm well aware of him, and I am just sick to my stomach that he's gone. But beyond that, I know you're working your butt off and doing everything you can, and we hope to keep you there. We're going to work to keep you there so that you can work further with Mike and Julie and Rick. I wish I could guarantee that, but I'm going to do my damnedest to see that it happens. So, and I want the rest of you to be sure to be there with me. And now I'll let you guys ask Lloyd any questions you want to ask him. That's what he's here for, so ask him.
Thank you, Sandra.
May I say something?
Absolutely.
This is Carol. I worked the ballot board for 3 weeks, counting the mail-in ballots, and people, that we had such a tremendous response to mail-in ballot, but it was this runoff and special election. I think we're going to have probably twice as many people voting by mail in November. The only thing I can say is get your ballot in timely. We were counting mail-in ballots through Friday. The other thing I would say is I know 3 polling locations on election day that the Republican teams did not show up, and it caused lines to back up. We have got to also volunteer to work the polling stations because those people do not show up. They want it to be bad for us. That's all I got to say.
Carol, thank you. Carol, thank you very much for doing that. And if you have any suggestions about the vote by mail from your experience there, I hope you'll call our office because I'm trying to perfect how this is done. I want to work with our local election officials in Travis and all the counties that I have the honor to represent. There was an article in the Washington Post this week about the challenges on vote by mail in some states and the fact that ballots arrive late. We need to be sure that everybody understands their ballot has to be received there, not just postmarked. So I welcome your advice about how we strengthen this. I just think that unless we get more people to vote by mail, they may decide in the wave of the pandemic not to go to the polls, or their poll might be closed because of a lack of election workers. Thank you.
I will say this about the vote by mail. I signed up for it, but I'm a dummy, I guess, but somebody should have reminded me that I needed to declare that I was a Democrat because my ballot only showed up with a single selection. So I had to turn my ballot in and then go vote in person. And I am totally terrified, I'll admit it, of this pandemic because of my age and the fact that I've had a pre-existing condition, which, you know, would not do me any good. So I am afraid to go out. I've been in my apartment for what, 8 weeks now? With the exception of going to my doctor and to the polls once. That's it.
We'll keep doing that because we need your leadership. You know, I've been really both in Austin and in Washington, very much the same thing. Libby and I believe in staying in. We get our groceries and we go out and do a little cycling to get some exercise. But we need people with the dangerous conditions that exist there to stay safe and healthy by wearing a mask when you're out. In fact, a good Vote Democratic mask like you talked about today, and maintaining that distance. Even, you know, we've been separated even from our grandchildren, which is hard to get us to do, but we have to be aware of the dangers of this and protect one another by wearing a mask.
And
I just want to.
In a second, Susan, I'll get you. I just wanted to comment about the kids because I have children in my apartment complex here that I have been playing with and giving candy and toys to for the past 6 years. And now I can't see them. And if they go to school, which they want to, and we're supposed to be going to school, but they are going to be carrying that disease around. And that is another concern. And parents and grandparents are just going nuts. But like you said, we'll get off this. I think Susan has a comment. And
but I work both early voting in Pflugerville, and then I worked election day in my neighborhood. And so I learned quite a bit, and it was quite an opening experience, and to see how many of the older folks over 65 who did come in to vote, and I guess they didn't know about vote by mail. So many people were surrendering their ballots by mail, trying to understand. Is there going to be more support for our county clerks who then have to deal with this massive increase? Because I know that just saying, hey, we all need to vote by mail is easy to say. We also need to support that our clerks' offices to make sure that they have the increased funding to make sure they have the personnel and the equipment to do massive increase in mail by voting by mail.
Susan, I just want to interrupt you because I got to tell you something. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the primaries are pretty much run by the parties, where the general election is run by the actual election division. So there's a lot of problems with the parties. So I personally blame this primary and every error that happened with it directly on the Democratic and Republican parties.
Right. But I advocate working the election poll, and I think if we get more people, more young people working the polls, and I think that's our push too. And I really enjoyed it, learned a lot. So yes.
Well, and what you say about support for the election machinery in the fall and the clerk's office is really important. I believe you had my friend Commissioner Trevelyan on earlier in the program today.
No, he hasn't spoken yet. He's still waiting.
Okay, good. Well, I believe that at one point the county was planning to have vote by mail applications sent to everyone over 65 in the county. But with the problems of the pandemic and the budgetary issues, the county wasn't able to do that. We certainly want to be sure, whether that's done or not, that we have the support for the county clerk for her to be able to do all that needs to be done in this area. And I know Commissioner Trevelyan's committed to that. And I will be talking with the commissioners about this some more to coordinate our effort.
If I could for a second.
Hey, Commissioner, good to see you.
Good to see you, Congressman. I just want to say how proud I am every time I hear you challenge what's going on in Washington, how you support our community, and how and how we can always find you when we need you. So thank you so much for your work and your consistency with us. I think that what we probably need to do immediately is to work through our clubs and put a Zoom call together that allows us to understand all of the nuances of our new system. This is a new system, and it's going to take several times of using this system before we become proficient with it. There were a number of people, not just you, Sandra, who did not get everyone that they could have voted for, but we need to make, the county needs to make it possible for you to see it several times. And I think if we put, and I've talked to Dana about this, and I hope that we can very soon put together a call so that we can talk about all of the things that need to be done in order to make sure we get this right. Talk about all of the subtle nuances and almost treat it like a voter registrar training. It's important that we make things more accessible and easier for folks who are getting used to a new system. And we're committed to working on that in the office.
I think you just got me my agenda for my October meeting.
That's great.
Going to bring Dana and maybe yourself, and we're going to get some people on here so we can announce to everybody what needs to be done and be a little more progressive and aggressive in getting that information out to people. So Betty, did you have a question? Betty Taylor? I think, wait a minute, let me. Are you unmute? You're muted.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I've been getting these emails about the U.S. Postal Service and the threat that it's going to be unfunded, defunded, or whatever. Is there time for that kind of thing to happen to us between now and mail-in ballot time?
Well, thank you very much. It's a really important issue. It's one of the things that's in the legislation that we passed in the House that McConnell's been holding up. There's no doubt that the Republicans want to privatize everything they can. And Trump has been opposing the additional money that the Postal Service says they have to have in order to continue operation. I don't know whether his attacks on the Postal Service are related to his attacks on vote by mail, but just know we are determined to see that the Postal Service gets the funding it needs, because it's not only, as you know, vote by mail, it may be a prescription by mail, it's communication by mail. At this time when we are required to stay at home, be socially isolated, at least you need to be able to count on getting your mail. And so we're going to be there doing all we can to protect our Postal Service. I think it's a really important matter as in this legislation that we hope to get passed this month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Betty. Okay, Pat.
Hi. Thank you, Congressman. I do just want to say that in terms of the vote by mail, one of the things I was telling my voters in 146 as a precinct chair, I actually told anyone that felt like they were compromised at all in any shape or form to order their vote by, their ballot. And I told them if, because some people were concerned, if they'd say like, okay, I've got, some illness or something, but I don't know that I'm not disabled. And I just tell them order their ballot. And if Ken Paxton came for them, send them to me. I'll do a GoFundMe page and get myself out of jail. Will get me out of jail. So, but the key is to make for sure that everyone is getting to vote. And
that's right.
So I was fairly aggressive about it, and that's gonna be one of my main pushes in my precinct. And we did have Dana out here in Pflugerville to our meeting, and it was very helpful before the election. But that was before the thing came up on the, about checking the Democrat box. And it wasn't well explained. I did do it. I was lucky because I did vote by mail this year, being quarantined. But yeah, I agree with what Jeff said. I think we can use the clubs that way. And I'll make sure we get Dana back out here. Like you said, Sandra, that's going to be obviously an agenda item in one of our future meetings. So.
Yeah,
and we'll get you out of jail too, Pat. Don't
Thank you, Jeff.
I have a comment.
Pat, we'll work on a combined meeting. How's that sound?
Oh, that'd be great. We should do that. Let's do that. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Anybody else have something to say now?
Yeah.
Okay, Jane.
Yeah, I had a comment about, you know, I ran a polling location and we were having difficulty getting enough of the, like the cleaning wipes and the finger glove things and so forth. So yeah, it was a little awkward. There was these wipes that they had sent. They had packaged themselves to clean the tabletops and things, and those were moldy. So yeah, there were some snafus there. But out of like over 500 voters, there was only one couple who was not wearing a mask, which that's good. But I did have some older people come tell me, I'm not worried about this, you know, I'm not scared. Now, they were wearing their mask, but they were sassing about it.
It's just really disturbs me when people do that.
Please send an email to my office so that I can put that through formal channels so that we at least make sure that we have all of the equipment, all of the disinfectant PPE. and PPE ready and available before the fact. And that's something that we can check on, and I will work directly with you on that.
And when I voted early, they were out of those finger glove things too. So,
well, thank you all. Thank you very much. Since I'm a representative and not a senator, I don't want to filibuster today. And I know that you've got some words coming from the commissioner. Thank you all so much for your leadership.
Can I have just one more question? This gentleman.
Sure. Sure.
Emil, go ahead.
Oh, it was more of a comment, but it was brought. How you doing, Ms. Lloyd? I was in my mind going over the emails that you sent out earlier on as the whole discussion about the IBBM was going to the Supreme Court, and I found particularly interesting. You pointed out that the Supreme Court also found that it is not the election office's business about what your disability is or how you determine that. The thing, if you know, it's in my case, it would be my determination that I am disabled in such a way that it would endanger me to go to the polls. You check the box accordingly. You don't tell the election department has no need to know what the disability is. As Pat said earlier, so the most important thing is to get people to start sending in their ABBMs now so that they're all nicely stacked up at the election office to be mailed out on time. Most of the people who had problems, that the ones that I have seen, tried to put in their ballot by mail in the last week or two before the elections. And although it was still time to do it, it really put a huge load on the election office to try to turn them. A couple of people got their ballot by mail after the time that they would have had time to get it back. So,
Neil, you have summed it up. Neil, you have summed up so well this whole discussion, because the key is it is the individual who makes the determination as to whether they're disabled. Now, for someone who's 65 or over, they don't need to do anything except fill in the boxes. But the other key point you're making, and this really ties into what Commissioner Trevelyan was saying, is if we wait till October to do all of it, there was no way the clerk will know the volume that will be coming in. And so my appeal would be to Northeast Democrats to do the kind of thing Pat was talking about, and that is in each precinct to begin now in July and August, telling people, asking people, doing a call list to ask people to vote by mail. We will soon know by next week who has not yet claimed an application to vote by mail, to call through that list for your neighborhood now. And let's get people to vote by mail and express themselves for November. Thanks again. On to victory. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you so much for coming today, and we'll be looking forward again in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye. I know some of you may have had more questions for the congressman, but he did have another commitment. So we have to be gracious and let him go, although I could talk to him all day long. But instead, I think we'll finally hear from our commissioner. So if Jeffrey was ready, go ahead. Tell us what's going on in your world, and I want to hear about Tesla.
All right, all right. Well, first of all, I'm always pleased to talk to the neighbors in the neighborhood. Precinct 1 is my home precinct. This has been a melancholy day for me, I have to admit. John Lewis was one of my heroes, but we also lost C.T. Vivian. And C.T. Vivian was the person who Martin Luther King said was the best preacher ever. And he was 94 years old. And even though we have lost the people, we can't lose their message. And we represent their message by going out and making sure that we give everybody an opportunity to vote, that we give everybody an opportunity to participate. And I always take very seriously the work that you all do, and want to be a part of it, and want to make sure that I am working with you and answering the questions that you have, and guiding you to the resources that are going to make it possible for us to maximize the vote. Because when Democrats vote, we get better service in our government services. So I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done, and commit to you that I will continue to work with you, and I'll always be available. You guys know my cell number. If you don't know my cell number, I'll put it down in the message board so you can find it and reach me directly. Talk about what's going on in the county. Well, we have got great challenges, and we've got great opportunities. I'll talk about the great challenges first. COVID has been, the COVID process has been a difficult process for us. I think that the county judge, Sarah Eckhart, and now Sam Bisco, had done a wonderful job with the mayor of Austin in making sure that we stood up people who were working with the county and working in the public, and allowed them to work from home so they could still serve and do their jobs, but we could socially distance and keep our hospitals and ICUs and our ventilators available for the most sick people. I think that it is clear now to everyone that the governor was following Trump's lead and not the lead of scientists and the CDC. And we find ourselves in a worse position now than we have been in so far. I think that we have seen volunteer groups, community groups help us serve vulnerable populations, but this is going to be a new normal. We're going to have to figure out how we do address the nutrition needs of our elderly population, the nutrition needs of our children who rely on 2 meals a day from their schools. We have worked with the school districts. We've worked with our cities, and I think that we've worked with Capital Area Food Bank and places like that to have a good response to our initial emergency. The important thing that we're going to have to do, though, is see how we can make that sustainable. It is not the first 3 months, the first 6 months. The question is, do we put an infrastructure in place that will allow us to serve folks if this goes into a year? Because I do not feel that we are going to be safe until we get to the point of a vaccine. We can be as cautious as we can be. We should socially distance, but until we actually get a vaccine in place, we should be very, very cautious and careful. And I think that it's going to require that we communicate well to each other. is going to require that we make you aware of all of the resources that are available zip code area by zip code area, and all of the groups that are put in place or that are growing in place to make sure that we have access to folks so that our vulnerable populations will be protected. So our initial response to COVID, I thought, was outstanding. The governor moved too fast, and he had the attorney general with him. They threatened to sue us if we did not follow their rules and recommendations. And what we have found now is that Texas is one of the top 3 hot spots in the entire nation. And it is only going to be community that saves us. And that's why this democratic community is so important. So that is the challenge. We have got to work together, and we have been working all over the precinct and all over the county to make sure that we stand up those organizations and we invest in those organizations. What we did, one thing that we did was there was a group of restaurant owners and they could not open normally. And they decided they didn't want to let their food spoil in their refrigerators. We put up $161,000 so that they could cook that food and serve our first responders and serve some of our elderly population. And we had a radio telethon for them. Our goal was to raise $30,000 from them. Within 4 hours, we had the football coach from UT, the mayor, several folks, the local celebrities that came, and we raised $270,000 for them to do that type of work. So it's important that we all come together and we use what we have, whatever that is. Some of us work the phones better than anybody, Sandra. Some of us know restaurateurs. Some of us know people that can do various things that are necessary. We need to pull all of those things together and figure out how we serve our neighbors. I'm very proud with the initial response that we've made, but this could be our new normal for the upcoming year, and we've got to prepare for that and make sure that we are serving our community. I became a Democrat because under John Kennedy, he decided that the federal government would make sure that Ole Miss was integrated, that the University of Alabama was integrated. Johnson made sure that when the 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi, in Philadelphia, Mississippi were killed, he used the FBI to find out who did it. We have to use our resources to make sure that our community is served. And we want to help organize. You can coordinate through us. I sit on a call every morning from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock that talks about what community resources are out there and how can we serve people. Those are the types of things that we do as Democrats to make sure that our neighborhood is well taken care of. So I'm very, very proud of the work that's been done. I want to talk to you for a moment about Tesla.
Yes, I want to hear about Tesla.
It was a difficult project because it is one of these instances where you're trying to get a public-private partnership. The private sector operates in a different manner than the public sector does. We have to have certainty on the types of things that we do. They want to move into an area, for example, where we are building Harold Green Road out so that there is a second route out of Austin's Colony. That is important because we've had 3 500-year storms over the last 2 years, and we want to make sure that every community has safe evacuation routes. That is safe evacuation routes, safe routes to school, and that we deal with low water crossing type areas. One commitment that we had to secure from Tesla was that they would complete this road, and they would complete this road on the same time frame that we would have completed it. They agreed to that. We wanted to make sure, we looked in the media and we heard difficult things about Elon Musk for 30 or 40 days before the agreement came together. We wanted to assure that our OSHA standards would be followed. So we got them to purchase an owner-controlled insurance plan that will have a third-party security agent on site every day to make sure that everybody on site is OSHA 10 certified and that every manager is OSHA 30 certified, so that we know that safety is going to be one of the most important things on the ground. We made sure that we set a wage floor for our construction workers, for the people who will be manufacturing workers, but also for the service workers who handle sanitation and food services. We made sure that they will pay Travis County's living wage, and that will be the floor. And as they go from year to year, their wages will be adjusted by the Consumer Price Index. We negotiated that into the process. We wanted to make sure that they would do the things that we wanted to do for ourselves. We knew that we couldn't regulate everything, but we wanted to make sure that basic health and safety was addressed, and it was addressed first. One reason that Tesla, the Tesla project was so attractive to us was that they will be locating on a brownfield, a former strip mine between 969 and 973, owned by Martin Marietta. We will make sure that they will clean up the cement site there, and that they will follow our rules as it relates to environmental issues. They will work directly with our permitting department to make sure that they're doing all the right things there. But one of the primary reasons that this was attractive to me is that 78724, which is Colony Park in Precinct 1, 78725, Austin's Colony, which is part of it, is also in Precinct 1, are two of the most poverty-stricken areas in this region. They have the highest healthcare disparities and the most difficulty getting clinic services out in those areas. This facility will add $2.5 billion of investment to that community over the next 5 years. It will guarantee 5,000 jobs that we will have for over 20 years. Half of these jobs will be semi-skilled jobs, which means if you have a high school diploma and a good attitude, you can work in that environment and you can work at a living wage in Travis County. We thought that putting a facility like this into the poorest part of town would attract grocery stores, would attract public transportation, would attract clinic care, would bring a lot of the things that only investment can bring into a community like that. Many of you know that we fought heartily with the city just to get a $20 million investment of hotel taxes when the city had $190 million of hotel taxes in the bank, and we could not get that investment done. We think that this private investment with a lot of public sensibilities will create an oasis in Precinct 1 and will create opportunities to do some of the things that we need to have done that on Baptist. Now I can talk a long time. Why don't I stop and let you ask questions if that is okay?
Okay, because we do have some people that do have some questions. As I just want to mention, as I mentioned to you when you and I talked about this, I have a problem with companies, and they do it all over the nation. They come into a community promising all these things. They get this enormous tax break, you know, which does directly affect the bottom dollar of any community. And it just rankles wrong. So I know somebody's going to ask the question I wanted to ask, and I'm going to let them ask it. Let's see, I do believe it's Vanessa. Vanessa McDougall has my question. Go for it, Vanessa.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And yeah, and I just want to know what happens next if Tesla doesn't honor their agreement.
Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. The way that we designed the contract, okay, so the benefit that they would get from the county is $14.7 million over a 10-year period. All right. So year by year, we have set performance measures for them. This is a reimbursement contract. They have to pay their taxes up front. And if they meet all of our performance criteria, we will reimburse them. If they do not reach 75% of our performance criteria, they will get zero. The thing as it relates to county taxes versus school taxes is, of your tax bill, the county's portion is only about 15%. The school district's portion is closer to 55 to 60%. So the tax deal that they really made was done under Chapter 313 with the Del Valley School District. But Del Valley has a very advanced, what we used to call vocational program, but what we call now school to work. We have had them sit down with the local workforce board, Tamara Atkinson, with ACC, the continuing education program, Dr. Hector Aguiar. We've had them sit down also with the Del Valley School District. And the first person who talked about their excitement for having the program there was their career opportunities director. They plan to work directly with the school district and prepare students so that when they graduate to be able to work into the place. But the way that we have put the contract together, they do not get their money up front. They have to verify for us that they have met their performance measures. And if they have not, we will not pay them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Somebody's got to have a question. Come on. Do I hear silence out there?
You know, I'm Baptist. I can talk a long time now.
Well, I hope you can hear me. I got a message here that says low system resources may affect your audio quality. So can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, good. Jeff, I do want to say that I appreciate what you do, and you're thorough, you're complete in your work, and you can always explain it to me so I understand, and I really appreciate that. Give you a plug. I love you as my commissioner, but I think you might make a great county judge. I'm just going to say that personally.
Thank you so much. You know, this is the work that I love. This is, I came here in 1985 to go to the LBJ School of Public Affairs, and I have worked in state and local government, and at the same time worked in civil rights work because John Lewis and C.T. Vivian and Aaron Henry and Valma Overton, those guys really were my heroes. And I was 23 years old when I came here, and John Lewis was 23 years old when he became prominent in his civil rights work. And I really believe that government should work to protect its most vulnerable people, and that we shouldn't hide from problems. We should talk to people about what's out there, about what our priorities are. We can't do everything at one time, but how do we set a priority scale? What is it that we need? What is it that a majority of us need? How do we work together to get that done? I will always, I mean, Precinct 1 is my home. I'm buying the house that I'm going to retire in. And it's important for me to have that I will always work hard for precinct 1. We got a siting ordinance for the landfill. We're going to have to follow that through. We need to turn that into a Superfund site so that it actually gets cleaned up, because we have got industrial fuel in barrels underground where there are natural springs of water, and if we don't clean that up, that could damage our water all the way to the Colorado River. There are things that we've got to work on together. There are things that we've got to make sure the entire county knows are our priorities, and nobody will work harder for this community than I will. I promise you that.
Okay, Emil has a question for you now. Emil?
Thank you. Jeff, I know there's quite a bit of difference between being a commissioner and being a county judge. Can you talk a little bit about how you see the relationship of the county judge with the other elected officials of the county government, and
Sure.
And what the relationship is and how you would make it work?
Well, the one of the primary differences is, as a precinct 1 commissioner, my primary interests are always making sure that I'm communicating with community members, whether it is talking to neighborhood associations, whether it's talking to PTA groups, whether it's talking to precinct chairs. It is to try to make sure that I understand what our priorities are, and that I find another vote if necessary to put items on the agenda. It is not only the county judge that can put items on the agenda. It is our tradition that if 2 commissioners want an item heard, we can put it on the agenda. So you always have the ability to put material on the agenda if you want to. Basically, the job of the county judge is more of an administrative position. You basically set the priorities of what's going to be on the agenda, when it's going to be on the agenda, but you meet regularly with the 8 executives of county government, whether it's health and human services, whether it's emergency services, you meet technology, you meet regularly with them, you understand what their needs are, and you make sure that you manage the agenda so that you don't have 50 items on the agenda this week and 12 items on the agenda next week. What level of analysis has been given for each individual issue? I'm more of a project management person. I want a lot of pre-work to be done before it actually is put onto the agenda. I want to make sure that if there is a outward facing element, if there's a need for the community to weigh in on this, we need to work on that through subcommittee meetings where we invite the community in, much as we do with our bond process. We have a number of bond initiatives that we have scoped out, but we bring in community members, a number from each precinct, to make sure that everyone's priorities are heard and that we build something that the entire community is interested in supporting. So the job is more of a job of organization and management, and making sure that you understand the internal processes that are necessary to implement the priorities and ideas of the community and the community members are requesting. So it certainly makes the agenda more accessible. It certainly creates more direct work opportunities with our executive team. But these are things that I do as a commissioner of a precinct, but that's not my primary job, if that makes sense.
Okay, anybody else have another question regarding anything like Tesla or, that's my hang up. Yes, Phil, go ahead.
Love those earrings, by the way.
Oh, yes, I meant to mention them earlier because I got the word boat in here somewhere. These were given to me by a lady named Betty Richmond, who used to be the photographer for the party years ago.
Excellent.
And she actually is a friend of mine, and she introduced me to Travis County party and the Texas party years ago. But she's retired now, but she always wears these things. But anyway, I think Phil had a question.
Right.
Phil, you're muted. Phil, you're muted. You gotta, there you go.
How's that? Hey, Jeff, did we get any wage guarantees on those jobs at Tesla?
Yes, we got two things. We made sure that we set the floor, and the floor is the living wage. But the market's going to dictate. Ultimately, the market's going to dictate everything that is above the floor. We made sure there was a you can't go below this, and then we tie.
$15 or?
That's $15. Yes, sir.
Because $15 for I come from a union background, and that's not a competitive automotive wage for an auto worker.
And our expectation is that that will be more of the folks with a high school diploma that are coming in almost as apprentices, but will be trained up to do more. We expect, while we did not do Davis-Bacon, we basically made sure that we would be looking at that basically they'd use a Davis-Bacon type process to make sure.
So is there going to be a project labor agreement on building the plant?
There should be. We made sure that there will also be the right to organize as well.
Oh, you did do that?
Yes, they have the right to organize. Yes, sir.
So a card check neutrality, is that the phrase that they use?
You know, and I would have to get the direct phrasing from Tom Knuckles and the guys in the county attorney's office, but we wanted to make sure that we all agreed that the right to organize was going to be available to the workers.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And also what we got them to agree with was that raises would be based on the consumer price index.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jeff while we're here? I see we have another guest that popped in here, and I'm going to give him a chance to speak since we did ask about the county judge thing. So I'm going to let Andy Brown speak for a couple minutes. Okay, Andy?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Susan. I've got two kids running around here. So, Sandra, so there may be some background noise. I'm a little distracted with them. I apologize. But my name is Andy Brown. I'm running for Travis County Judge. And I think it's time for fundamental progressive change at Travis County. There's a few things that I'm most interested in working on at Travis County. And those involve kind of, let me just back up and say the main reason I'm running. So I got involved with an organization called the Sobering Center back in 2014 and worked with a lot of people that are on this call, a lot of county and city officials, including Judge Nancy Hohengarten, because we didn't have one. And we studied all the different sobering centers around the country and went through the entire process working with the city government, the county government, the state government, and put together this thing that is now up and running and has been up and running for the last year. And it has diverted over 3,400 people away from the criminal justice system entirely. So these are people who, instead of being arrested and booked and put into central booking or going to the ER, they spent the night in the sobering center and had a safe place to sleep and then went out and did not get a criminal record. The problem is that when people go out, there's a lot of services that they want, from mental health care, recovery services, any number of things that we are not providing either as a county or a city or a region or as nonprofits. And that's really why I'm running, is because I want to reduce the number of people in the Travis County Jail It is currently our largest line item but in the budget, which I think is unacceptable. And I want to increase spending on mental health, behavioral health, and other ways to keep people out of jail and give them the help that they need before they end up in jail and end up costing everybody a lot of money. So my website is voteandy.com, and my cell phone number is 512-773-1236. I would love to talk with anyone about these ideas and more. And Sandra, I just want to thank you very much. And I see Jeff there. Just want to give Jeff a shout out. I've known him for 25 years. We worked together with a group called the 21st Century Democrats back in the 90s and did organizing then. Jeff is a great person, and I'm honored to be able to run alongside with him in this race. So thank you very much, Sandra, and thanks everybody for your time.
Okay, Andy, if you will post in the chat your phone number and email, and then people will have it there, because it's kind of hard to remember when you just say it. So just put it here in the chat area.
Okay, thank you, Sandra.
Anybody have any questions for Andy? No questions? Okay, we have another impromptu guest that popped in. It's our other candidate for county chair, Katie Nerano. Is that it? Did I say it? Nerano?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi. Thank you, Sandra.
Katie, take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself.
Thank you. So my name's Katie Naranjo. I'm running for the Travis County Democratic Party chair. I grew up in Deep East, Texas, and my grandmother had me volunteering with her on Democratic campaigns in our local Angelina County Democratic headquarters that was manned by 2 volunteers from our PACE local union. And so I grew up organizing. And I can tell you one of the reasons why I'm running is because quite frankly, I think Diana's done a very good job as chair and would not be running were it not for the fact that she is also running for county judge. And so the timing of her resignation is what prompted me to enter this race. Having grown up as an organizer, working on Democratic campaigns across the state, as well as having my own consulting firm for over a decade here in Travis County, I feel like I have the expertise as well as the knowledge to make sure that we elect Democrats this November and get through what is arguably one of the most challenging elections we'll face, not just because we have a pandemic, but we also have, for the first time in the state of Texas, no straight ticket voting. And we have a new voting system in Travis County, which makes it uniquely a unique situation for us. So having been a former precinct chair for 4 years and a Democratic club president, I grew up as a university Democrat here in Travis County, involved in the party here locally as well, and continued that work in my consulting firm, working for over 120 different progressive and Democratic candidates on the ballot, and raising $8 million with my fundraising teams to get Democrats elected. And so I do want to just hit on one point that Congressman Doggett made earlier. He and I spoke recently this week about vote by mail, and I've put out a plan for TCDP at katieforchair.com, which I'll share in the comments for everyone to check out. But one of the things that's going to be really important in terms of the coordinated campaign this year is having resources, education, as well as staff dedicated to vote by mail organizing, because I believe in the constitutional right to vote by mail. And Dana DeBevoise has said on our CEC meetings that she will not challenge the face application of any vote by mail application. And so I think it's important that we as a party put time and resources organizing now on a vote by mail strategy. And so I believe that winning takes all of us, and that our party needs to be a place of belonging for all, because it's going to take all of us coming together and supporting each other to make sure we elect Democrats this November, and continue to do year-round organizing and community building to ensure that we bring in new activists, new volunteers, and recruit a diverse slate of candidates. So I look forward to talking with each of you more, and I ask for your vote on August 3rd. And thank you, Sandra, so much for your time, and thank you to everyone for volunteering and taking your weekends to do the work to help people vote this November.
Well, thank you, Katie. And does anybody have any questions for Katie? No questions. Okay. Let me see. What else? I know one more thing. Rick has hung around here for the whole time. So does anybody have any more questions for Rick? Because we want to make sure that man gets to Congress. Okay. So I'm going to keep hammering that. I will be hammering it. So just be prepared.
Let's make sure that we have his link in our chat so that I can send him $100 right now.
All right.
Matching your $100.
We'll pop it right in there.
All right.
It's in the chat already.
Oh, okay. Got by me.
What now? What did you say? Did you find it?
Got it.
Okay.
RickKennedyForCongress.com.
Okay. Yes, that's our man. And thank you so much. I do want to reiterate, I don't know if Sue is still here to show you her mask, but I do want to reiterate about the masks. We're going to be selling them for $20. That will pay for the cost to build the mask and to ship it to you, plus give us a little extra to add to our coffers for our candidates. And the way you can do that is I'm going to put it on our Facebook so that you can order from there and then we will ship it to you. It's $20. Check out Facebook. It'll be later today. So there you go, Sue. Thank you so much.
I will get one for each of the Trevilians, so I will get 5.
Okay, Sue, you better get busy sewing. If anybody wants to help her, please let us know.
So Sandra, do you want them to contact you directly? Because I'm sending the mask to you.
Okay.
I have 40 of them that I'm ready to distribute.
Okay, all right. You can email me.
Okay.
SS is in steamship.
Okay.
Ragona, RAGONA.
Okay.
gmail.com.
All right. Got it.
And you guys, if you want to get a mask, you can email me or you can order it through Facebook, whatever, and we'll get it to you. Okay? And I'll even set up. Huh? Sue, what?
I say it sounds like a good plan.
Oh, okay. And I'll set up a way that you can pay through our ActBlue account too. Anything else for today? We did have Ed is still here. Are you still there, Ed? Maybe he's clocked out. He said he was overheated. So anyway, Susan, what do you got to say? Oh, okay. You're just clapping your hands. All right. All right. Anything else? Anybody else have any comments, curses, or criticisms?
Thank you for all you do. It is so important that we talk regularly, and that one thing I want to talk to us about doing, and I meant to ask this when Lloyd was on the phone. We would be so much further along if our state had taken our $10 billion per year in our own tax dollars back to extend Medicaid. We need to identify the priorities that we would focus on if we did get it, and B, point out the things that are in trouble because we don't have it. And we need to make sure that everybody knows that this governor was responsible for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I did get a little message on the side here and I forgot it. Oh, bad me. Next week is the Big Tent Party. It is a marathon fundraiser put on by the Travis County Democratic Party. I will take full blame for it because it was my idea to go 8 hours. Cindy Flint is absolutely pulling out her hair, but a marathon is a marathon, and that's what it's going to be. So we will have our 5 to 7 minutes, and it's going to be hopefully funny. So check us out. And it will be broadcast during that whole 8 hours. So I can't tell you exactly when you go see it. You're just going to have to check in periodically. And please donate to the party. Okay, I made my plug there. It seems to me, Emil, did you have your hand up again?
Just a bit of admin.
Okay.
Everybody, if they go to their chat list down there, that's still being filled up with kudos and other. And at where you type in, there's a little box and you click on with 3 dots in it. You click on it, save chat. You can save it to your computer before it disappears when we close the meeting. And since I'm sure there'll be a little bit of time if you want to save the chat to your computer so you can pick up on all those contacts and other things and reach down and do that.
Thank you so much, Emil. That is good to know. Because there's a lot of information in that chat and you can save it right now. Let's see, Carol, you have another comment or question.
I just wanted to mention those Stop the Donald stickers that we're going to sell also.
I forgot.
If you could post
for this old lady to remember.
I know.
Yeah.
If you could just post the picture of it, or I can post it on NETCO.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. If you want to check our NETCoDems Facebook page. We will be getting a web page one of these days. It's in the process of being built, but you know how things go when they slow down during the epidemic, pandemic, whatever. But anyway, Facebook is our major constant communication. I don't like to send you out a bunch of emails. So I usually just send maybe 1 or 2 to remind you of the meeting and what's the next meeting is going to be about. So frequently check that Facebook page to see what's going on. And you'll see our new stickers, our masks, and anything else I may have forgotten today, okay? Betty, did you have another comment?
No, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, anybody else? Is that it for today then, guys?
Executive committee is going to meet after.
Yes, yes. Our executive committee, I want you to stay on board after everybody else leaves so I can just discuss a little bit about what we're going to do for the big tent party. And it's secret, so the rest of you go away, okay?
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate talking to everybody. Have a great day.
I'll talk to you later, Jeff. See you
All
later.
right.
See you later, Andy.
Thank you, Sandra.
Bye, Katie. Thanks.